Hello everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of my polymer clay tutorial on doing an angel cane. This is for Tupelo Designs LLC, and if you watched my part 1, you will see that I was running into all kinds of issues with my cane. I ended up having to chop it in half, not the cane, but the video, and divide it into a part 1 and part 2 because I was having technical issues with part 2. And then I eventually ended up losing part 2 altogether. So things look a little different because I have tried to recreate what I need to do to finish this video. So hopefully you will watch part 1 and you will see me get up to this point, which is the body of the angel. The only difference is going to be I have wrapped this in black. That's a step that I had skipped and was trying to fix it in the other video, and it just didn't work. So I have recreated my little angel body, and I know it's upside down for you. I'll just set her over here for right now. But now I'm going to make her face. And to make her face, I'm going to need some ecru clay that is rolled out into a, maybe a, is it a 1/2 inch maybe, log. And I'm just going to set that aside for a minute. I've got some clay that it was scraps that I had left over. It's some red and some pink and just a touch of brown. But I wanted something where I could give her lipstick. Or not lipstick, but a smile. So I'm going to wrap this around the bottom of my cane. And let me come in, which means I'll probably go out of frame occasionally, but I will try to keep looking. But I've given her a big smile. See that? It's a big smile. Okay, now I've got this piece of ecru clay. I'm going to put it up just above where her mouth is and bring it around, and I'm going to trim it on the other side just above where the mouth is. So there's her mouth. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this off a little bit. Let me make sure I'm in frame. I'm going to cut this right above the smile. I'm going to lay this down. And I'm going to make her some cheeks. And she's going to have rosy cheeks. So I've got some pink here. I don't believe I need that much. I'm going to roll this a little bit just to get it warmed up. This has been sitting here for a little bit. And I'm going to roll this in a layer of ecru clay. Let me make a straight edge and lay that on there, and then trim. Take this and roll it over. The problem when I zoom in is it moves where my work area is. Okay, so you roll it over till it touches, back it up, and you'll see a little line on the clay. And that's where you want to cut, because what that will do is give you a clean match right here. So now I'm going to reduce this a little bit because her cheeks aren't going to be that big. So let's reduce it a little bit. You can even stretch it. let's see what that looks like. I think that's a pretty good size. See, that's just, these are going to be her rosy cheeks. So I'm going to cut 2. The depth of my angel, or somewhere close. I'm going to put this right above the corners of her mouth. See that? See, that's just above the corners of her mouth. Now you can see I have a space here between her 2 cheeks. So I'm going to just roll a roll of ecru clay. Get the one with the pink out of the way before I use that. Just roll a piece of ecru clay. That's about the size of that area. And just stick it in there. And then cut off the excess. Kind of looks like a Pinocchio nose, doesn't it? But now that's been cut off even with the top of the cheeks. Now we're going to make her some eyes. And for the eyes, I have rolled out this little piece of black just into a little snake. I'm going to wrap this in ecru. You see, I'm laying it on the ecru clay. I'm going to roll it up till it meets. Roll it back and see where the line is. And to be honest with you, I can't see the line from this angle. So if I miss it, I apologize. I missed it by a little bit, but not much. But anyway, I can just squeeze it together. So there we have an eyeball, but it's a little big. We don't want her to be too bug-eyed. So let's reduce it down to maybe double its size. Okay, now let's cut this in half. I probably ought to get my blade, because my X-Acto knife, because using a blade is getting a little clumsy. So I'm just going to cut this in half. And right where these creases are, or just slightly, my clay is a little bit soft, so make sure your eye is round. Just put it kind of in that crease, a little bit to the side. Use this side because the other side you're not going to be able to see because it's the end of my cane. Okay, so there's eyes. And again, I have a little area in here. So I'm just going to take a little piece of ecru clay. Actually, this one's already rolled up. This is the piece that I cut off for between her cheeks. And I'm going to stick this in that little recessed area and trim it off. And you see I've got some area here. So let me roll some more ecru. I'll probably go ahead and I'll just mix a lot while I'm doing it. Just make another snake. And I'm going to go ahead and cut them off and just see what happens. Hopefully I'll get them about the right length. And put that in there to fill in that space. put this one over here to fill in that space. And then I'm going to take her head, the top of her head, and I'm going to push it back into place. And actually, it's a little bit wider than my, I don't know how it shrunk. Usually they get bigger. But anyway, so don't pay any attention. I've messed up a little bit on these ends, but you know you always slice the ends off, so don't worry about that. But we've got her like that, and then I'm going to scalp her again. I'm going to cut off about half of her forehead. So now I'm going to take some dark brown clay, and this is raw sienna, and I'm going to go back out a little bit for this. But this is raw sienna, and you only need it about the depth of your cane. So slice a piece off here, and I'm going to take a knitting needle, or you can also use like a brush handle, which maybe I'll use the brush handle. It's a little bit thicker. And just press in and give her some waves. Let me move her face out of the way so I don't mess that up. Just give her some waves. And actually, because I think this is going to be a little bit too long, I'm going to press this one all the way down and kind of pull that end off. And just trim these little wings off. They probably aren't attached anyway, but just to be safe. Okay. So then we're going to take her hair, and we're going to start down at her chin and just kind of wrap her head in her hair. And as it turns out, this other place here, I'm just going to trim with a blade, but that looks like it's a good ending because it'll match up here on the other side. So there's our little angel face. Now, okay, so now what we want to do is wrap her face. First of all, look at her hair, and it looks like just in handling it, some of these little waves have not gone in far enough. So I'm just going to reinforce the little waves with my brush handle. And then I'm going to take black, and this is on a number 3. I think I'm going to go down to a number 5. I believe that's the size of the other wrap that I did. Let me do this. And we need to cut straight edges. Or straight thereabouts. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this black and I'm going to start at her hair. And I'm going to wrap the black, and while I'm wrapping, I'm going to take the little brush handle again and press the black into those areas where the little waves are. So you just make sure the black gets in there. And then trim that off at the other end of the hair. Okay, so there's her hair, her head. Let me just take a look at my instructions because I messed it up so much the last time. I don't want to do it again. Anyway, I'm going to be using turquoise for the sky. So what I'm going to do, excuse me, I'm getting a frog. So I'll take the Primo turquoise and press it into these little places where the waves, her waves are in her hair. And just put one in each one of those little areas. And I need one more, and that fell off, so hopefully that will work. So what this is going to do is when we start pressing and reducing her, it's going to keep those little wavy areas in her hair. Okay, the next step is to put her face back on her body. And I do need to trim this a little bit. It ended up being a little bit longer than when I started with the ecru face, it was a little bit longer than the rest. So I just wanted to trim that off. So anyway, I'm going to press her into her body. So now we have an angel with her body. Now, if you stop and think, she wouldn't be an angel without wings. So I've got some white clay here, rolled out to a number 3 on my pasta machine. And I'm going to start down here and come all the way up. I think I'll come all the way up to her hair. And just fan fold so that it moves. It's stuck to so that this comes up a little bit. Kind of trying to form the shape of a wing. And then trim it off. And we're going to trim, just trim this part off to kind of give it a wing shape. Just curve your blade a little bit, or if you don't have a flexible blade, you can trim it kind of straight and then just press this into a little curve. Alright, we're going to do the same thing on the other side, but I need to re-roll my clay, so I'm going to stop the camera for a minute so I can get my white clay. That's not enough, so I'm going to roll a little bit more. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. I've got my clay rolled out now, so let's go again and start down here at the bottom and come up to where her hair starts and start fan folding and gradually fold it upwards. See, I'm not coming down quite as far. Let me come down just for a minute. See, I'm not coming down quite as far to fold it, and I'm going to come up a little bit higher here to fold it. But keep doing it that way, and I'm going to go back out so you can watch what I do. And just fold. Okay, that one doesn't look like it's quite as big as the other one, so let me trim off another little piece. And just continue with this. I'll just fold that down. And again, we're going to trim this at a slight angle to kind of give it a wing shape. There we go. So there's our angel with her wings. Now again, we need to wrap some black around these wings, and the reason we are wrapping in black is because black will help to define the area. If you don't have the black on here and then you start putting your background on, it's going to just sort of, your white's going to just kind of fade into the blue. This way, you've got that little line of black, and it doesn't have to be thick. Right there. So you can even it just looks better even if you're looking at it right here. Now we're almost finished, but just to give a little interest to her dress, I'm going to take my brush again and go down to her skirt, and I'm going to press in with my brush handle again. I'm only going to do it like 3 times. And because I use so much white, I'm going to need to do a little bit more. I thought I had enough done, but if you're like me, I would rather not do enough and add more than I would. I'm just looking to see if I have any other white clay here on my table, than to make all this extra clay and then you're stuck with extra clay. So I'm going to, again, sorry, I'm going to stop the video and I'm just going to run just a little bit more white. Be right back. So anyway, I've got some white condition now. I want to make a sharp edge, and I'm going to take it and lay it right down here on the bottom of my skirt. And again, I'm going to take my brush handle and press it into those little grooves that I made. All we're doing is adding a little bit of a ruffle to the bottom of her skirt. Roll that around. Just pick it up and look at it. Make sure it's where you want it. And then I'm going to just trim this off like right there. And again, since this goes over top of the black that was already there, we need to wrap this again in black, just a thin sheet of black. And we get out our brush again, and push the black into those recesses of the white, and make sure it gets wrapped around. Whoops, sorry. When I come in really close for you to see, it really moves my work area far away from me, and it's harder for me to do anything. So there we've got that, and again, because we've got these little recesses, I'm going to put a little blue snake in those. I'm just going to stand it up this time to cut those even. Now this is not a serious angel. This is a very whimsical angel. And so don't get worried if her face makes her look like a clown, or, you know, if she just looks weird. It's not that big a deal. But anyway, so now I've got, see, look on the back side where I've had her matched. Look at that face. So it's going to look different. But anyway, so now the only thing left to do is to completely roll this into with the blue. And I'm going to use some of these little blue pieces that I trimmed off to go in little areas, like maybe right here along the hair. You might need, you know, some blue in there to make it easier. I think most of these other places are not too bad. So I have got lots of blue. I'm going to save this in case I need it. I think I want to try to make her head a little rounder before I put the blue on. So let me get my blue. And I've got lots of blue. I have lots of blue. But I am going to go back out for this. And I'm sorry she's upside down to you. Actually, doing this, I can turn her back around the other way. These are my blue scraps in case I need little scraps. And I'm going to just cut strips of blue and do the same thing. Let me just move her while I take out this blue. I'm going to just cut strips approximately the thickness of the cane. And then just pick up your angel and just start wrapping. You can start like here along her wings because there's more to fill in there. Make sure you get down in all the creases. Come all the way to the end, and then you can fan fold back and fill in this space here. Because you need this to end up being flat. So you can fan fold, you can wrap. I just find it easier to fan fold, and I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to start down here. Make sure I get in these crevices. You can use your brush handle again if you feel like you need it. Push it in. I think I can probably get it in with my fingers into most places. But again, here I'm going to fan fold to kind of fill in this space. And let the fan fold kind of go up every time. And hopefully by the time we get to the top, it will be mostly covered. Now it doesn't matter here if you overlap because you're going to be covering the entire thing with the blue clay. Now I'm going to take a strip and I'm going to come across this bottom. I'm going to just start where this other place ended and just kind of come across the bottom. And I may come back one more time. We don't need a lot of blue clay at the bottom or at the top. The main thing is to fill in these sides so that you can eventually cut a rectangle. So you just keep filling. I think this one is, actually I don't think I'm going to do anything extra to that one. I'm just going to come up here and try to fill in this corner. Because again, we're trying to make a rectangle. can move up as you do this to try to make a little corner. And as you can see, you use a lot of blue. And I'm going to need to use that big sheet of blue, and this is all I've got left. But I'm almost finished. All I need to do is to bring a piece up here to make a corner. And you might want to just stick some clay in these little areas that are not straight. Even though we're going to cut off most of this clay. But you at least want to keep everything in the correct shape. I think the other side is okay. So now, the only thing left to do is to reduce this. And this is another trick that I have found easy to make it easy. Let me find, I've got one long one. Is I take, if this were a thick cane, you could just press and press and press and press. But because this is less than an inch thick, you don't have a whole lot to work with. So I'm going to take some acrylic blocks and I'm going to use those to press. Just press in, turn it, press in and turn it. And you just keep doing this. You have to, it takes a little while. Don't rush it. If you try to rush it, it's just going to make your angel look really weird. She already looks a little weird, but she would look even weirder. But just keep doing this, because just the law of physics, well, I guess it's law of physics, I don't know. When you squeeze in, the clay has to go somewhere. So the only place it can go is up. So in doing this, you just keep pressing and turning and pressing and turning. You see, it's already a little thicker. It's about an inch now, but so you can see this can take a while, because I want this angel to be a little bit smaller. So I'm going to keep doing this because there is one more step at the very end that makes this truly look like an angel. So I'm going to turn the camera off while I reduce this, and then I will be back. Okay, I'm back. And what I wanted to show you was, and I went ahead, this is actually left over from the first video that I did and lost, and I just didn't want to make another one. But what I did here is I took a piece of the turquoise clay and made a little rope out of it, and then I wrapped it in a very thin sheet of black. And then I wrapped it in a little bit thicker sheet of gold. Then I wrapped it in a thin sheet of black. And then I put 2 layers of turquoise over top of that. Now this is going to be her halo. And I actually like it a little bit smooshed. But what you can do with this, if you want to make a pendant out of it, is to take... You can, before you bake it, and this one would be better before you bake, take a bead pin or a long piece of wire or something and go through the center of your bead and make sure it comes out on top. You may have to stretch this. Of course, this would have reduced a lot better if I had not, if I had waited before I reduced it, because you really need to let your clay rest. So mine did not reduce very well. But I've got that part of the angel, and then I'm just going to slice a little slice of the, actually I need to get a clean slice, so I'll cut that off. Try to get a slice about the same thickness as the bead that you cut. And just pierce this with the same bead pin. And then you can just push it down and bake those together like that. You can even press this down a little bit more. Let me see, but there would be your angel. Now hopefully you will let your clay rest before you reduce it, and you might get a little bit better reduction on it. I didn't let mine rest. Let me cut in a little bit further and see. No, it didn't improve as I go further along. So in order to have it, let it rest. But I just wanted you to see that this could make an absolutely really, nice pendant. And you can see right through here, the black that I wrapped this skirt in is not there. Maybe I forgot to put black in there, which is possible. I'll have to go back and look. But if there had been a piece of black here, it would have given more definition to her skirt and to the rest of her. So I hope you like this tutorial. I'm sorry it ended up being such a mess. As soon as money permits, I am going to buy me some larger devices that I can store my store my videos on, so that I won't have this problem again. But I appreciate you watching. Shop TupeloDesignsLLC.com for all of your claying needs. They're a fantastic company. They've been really good to me, and I just hope that I can do right by them. Thank you guys. I'll be back soon. Bye-bye.